Hi everybody, I was asked to make a tutorial for this waterfall tag system that I did in my new commission journal. So I'm going to show you how I did it with some improvements on this one actually, because after I'd made it, it did have a couple of faults, like that sticks there. So obviously that's not ideal, so we're going to fix that in today's tutorial. I'm going to run through a materials list with everybody because then you can gather together the things that you need and kind of craft along with me, I suppose. So the first thing you're going to need is your choice of double-sided card. I'm going to do this one in a vintage style so I can put it in one of the new vintage journals that I'm planning. Then the other thing that you need is some contrasting card. It can be patterned, plain, whatever you want, but so that you can see a bit better what I'm doing today, I'm going to use plain card on there. The next thing you're going to need is either a tag craft punch like this one, which I got from Amazon, and it does different sizes of tags, or if you've got a Cricut machine you can set it up to cut on there, or just a template that you can cut round and something to cut out the eyelet holes, just a punch if you don't have one of these. The next thing is some ink and an ink stamp. I like this one because it's not quite as savagely dark as some of the ones that I have, so that one's a really good one. You're going to need some glue. You'll need a punch, corner punch of some kind. This is just a standard rounding corner punch, but you can use a decorative corner punch. I just put it somewhere and I couldn't be bothered to go and get it, in all honesty. The next thing is some hole reinforcers. You can use eyelets when you make them, but the problem that I find when I try to layer something that's got metal eyelets in is it becomes really bulky that way, but having them with just the reinforced rings just helps to keep it from making the book bulk too much. So that's completely up to you. You'll also need some ribbon or twine or something of your choice. I tend to make the decision as to which one to use at the last minute because I'm just a bit of a nightmare. You'll also need needle with some neutral cotton or a cotton that matches your colour scheme, and a button. Again, you don't want them to be too thick because it will completely bloat the book. You can also use, I know some of you have seen the tutorial about making your own buttons, which I made some myself, so they're really good because they're really thin and they don't bloat the book so much. So that is pretty much all you need. I'll also put up a dimensions card for the paper sizes for you as usual, and I will write them in the description as well so that you can refer back to those anytime. So first things first, you need to cut your base card at 24 centimetres, which is approximately 9.5 inches by 6 centimetres, which is approximately 2 3/8 of an inch. So this piece is now your base card, so you can pop that up there and you won't need the rest of that. Next you need your slider bar, which is 10 centimetres, which is approximately 4 inches by 2 centimetres, which is about 6/8 of an inch, I believe. So I'll get that at the 10 centimetres. By 2 centimetres. And that's your slider bar. You can make 2 of those and stick them together for extra sturdiness if you want to, but it's not completely necessary. And now for your tags, you need 4 of these at 7 centimetres by 5.5 centimetres, which is 2 6/8 of an inch and about 2 2/8 of an inch. I do try to give inch measurements, but you may need to double check those, because these days I do work in centimetres. So we're just going to make the 5 of those. 5 of those? 4 of those. I know what I meant. Okay. So now that's your 4 tags cut. You also need a band to go and hold the moving part still and in place. This one is 12 centimetres by 2.5 centimetres, again with the edges cornered out and weathered in whatever card you want to use. And the next step is to punch out your tags. Like so. So do that to all 4. So you've now got your 4 tags punched. You can just leave that over there for a minute and we will do the scoring on the base card. So you need to make your first score mark halfway at the 12 centimetre mark. Then you need to do increases of 1 centimetre. You need to do another 4 of those, so you'll end up with 5 score lines in a row. So you should now have something that looks like this. So pinch all of your score lines nice and tightly. And that is the mechanism there for your card to roll. So now that part's done, put that to one side. Now take your punch, as I say, decorative or just a plain corner punch is fine, and punch out the corners on all the pieces. So now all your pieces are cut and corner punched. Get your ink and, just as you would normally, weather up the edges of all of your card pieces. As always, you don't need to sit and watch me do all of the pieces because it's laborious, but while I do this one, I will just say that bear in mind most of the things that I'm making tutorials for are based on something or a multitude of things that I've seen and thought, oh, I'll try putting those together and see what happens, or I had something that I would prefer to do with that thing. So a lot of it is influenced, at least, by things I've already seen. So I don't claim that these are all my original concepts or anything like that, far from it. So I just wanted to make that clear, because otherwise you'll get people going, well, somebody else did that one. And yeah, they probably have. But this is just how I'm doing it. So now if you're going to use the little embellishment quote tags that I had in this one, then I would suggest gluing them onto your tags now, because it's easier than waiting until they're already on the waterfall. So I'm going to use these ones today, well, a selection of them. So let's see, we'll have that one. There we go. Oh no, I like that one. Okay. So those you can obviously punch out, cut them with the scissors that you can get them, make them look torn like I used in the other journal, or you can just leave them completely as they are and just weather around the edges. The main thing to remember is that this is different to how you normally do the tags, where you'd normally put the embellishment on with the tag facing upwards, but because the way that these are, you want them facing that way, unless you want them to be on the inside as you lift the tag, in which case then you put them on the way that you would normally. So we're just gonna get some glue on the back of here. The glue I'm using today, because people often ask, is called Yoo-hoo, and it's really, really good, especially at gluing fabrics, but you can use it on just about everything. So you've got all of those in place now. The next thing I like to do before I glue them in is to attach the ring reinforcers, but I don't put the ribbon on yet because it makes, or it can make it a bit fiddly to get the tags in the right place, and you've got bits of ribbon and what have you sticking all over the place. Now they're all done, you start by gluing along, I prefer to do it along this one first, so just make sure there's plenty of glue on that, and then position that, but just make sure that it's not going over the next score line. You just need to make sure that you keep it in the right place. And then the next one, obviously on your next score line, and then it's a case of rinse and repeat for all 4 of the tags. So now to install your push bar, the best way I have now figured out to do this is going to be to push all the way up, line that up with the edge to see where that needs to glue, and then just glue it in place. Okay, so now your bar will do that. So now to install the band that's going to hold this down when you push the waterfall. If you move that until it's just underneath where your last tag is, at the very top of that, and then glue that in place there. So now that those are all attached and your slider bar is in place, it's time to embellish it. So you can use, as I said earlier on, you can use buttons or things like these would be quite nice as well, pushed into the bottom bar, but I'm going to just use a quick button on this one. So hence the reason for the needle and thread. I don't sew it into the card because it does have a tendency to shred it eventually, but what I do like to do is just put some cotton into it so that it looks like it's been sewn on. So you get the aesthetic, but you also get the sturdiness, and without a lumpy knot on the back as well of your card slider. So I just go in and out of this just a couple of times, as I say, just so it's got the appearance. That's all it needs. And then just tie that off and you can glue it on. Tend to put a good bit of glue on these, and then just position that wherever you want to on your bar. I always say to people, remember that you might be following a tutorial, but make it your own. Embellish it with whatever suits you, what you like. If you don't want to put the button there, don't put it there, put something else, or put it in a different place. It doesn't matter, but just give that a minute to dry. And now it's time to cut the ribbon or twine or whatever else you're planning to use. And just seal the ends just to stop them fraying, unless you want them to fray, because that can look quite nice as well. But for these kind of things, I tend to seal the ends. Always trying to remember which way round it goes to get it the way I like it. Brain fog is a wonderful thing. So just repeat that on all four. So there you have it, ready to glue into your journal, which obviously means that this part will be held down, and then that's it. You're done. I hope that that's been easy to follow. As always, happy to answer questions, and take care.